When the internet first arrived in the 90s, it was supposed to be democratic access to information and data. It was supposed to take the monopoly of news reporting away from the major networks. It was supposed to make each of us a potential reporter of news events. But it hasn't turned out that way, has it? Now data is completely centralized and being more centralized in the hands of big tech as well as in the hands of government. This also means the power to manipulate the information is under the control of a very few. I haven't talked about data manipulation so far, but that may deserve another separate video. There will be a complete life record of every person, and in some cases from before birth, as parents memorialize their child's life from pregnancy on Instagram. It's sad that we've allowed this to happen. Now the permanent record of each of us is in the hands of a few. The knowledge of each of our thoughts and desires are in the hands of a few. The view of our behavior is in the hands of a few. The flow of information to us is in the hands of a few. And this data cannot be canceled, corrected, or modified. We are now going to be classified not just by a credit rating, but according to a cohort group that Google assigned to us. Google calls it the Federated Learning of Cohorts. Flock, and the next generation will be classified from birth. We will then likely get a social score based on what cohort we belong to. This artificial profiling will be worse than any racial profiling you can imagine because the classification will be based on who's for us and who's against us. There will be rules for society and acceptable behavior, and those who do not toe the line will get punished in society. They will be banned or even silently shadow banned, and will affect people in opportunities and finances. Those who do not fit some standard of behavior or promote a standard of behavior that's against the will of the powerful will be censored. Who will the powerful be? The ones who control the data. Remember what I said earlier about the fact that people can change and do change. That part of humanity will be stripped away from us. I was in a deposition once where my entire life was examined and words I said from many years before were dissected and misinterpreted. And you will find in this situation that if you're not sure about yourself, you will feel a constant need to justify your past behavior. That, my friends, is the feeling of having your data collected from the beginning and harvested by some central party like Google. I know some of you are feeling a discomfort, like something isn't right, something is fishy, and you're not completely accepting of the fact that I'm giving you a heads up. Someday someone will watch and listen to what I say and wonder why the majority didn't pay attention. Something is happening, folks, and it is not good. We need to be aware of how our data is being centralized and pull back. We need to be conscious of how our identities actually make the data useful, and by knowing how to manipulate that identity on the internet, we can actually make the data become meaningless. We need to understand how the centralized data works so we can feed it this information. We need to reject this new idea of a data-controlled society that I fear will be worse than living with communism. We need to be aware that our data on the internet is permanent, and for once, what we were told as grade school kids about our grades will end up to be true in real life after all.